back to basics. Welcome back to the ACB Wrestling Talk channel, your main source for wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff. I'm your host, Alexis Carrillo, and remember when we said, right after SummerSlam that finally the Universal Championship was free and finally we would have a full-time champ on Monday Night Raw and the curse had been lifted and everything was at least going in the right direction? Well, strike that, because this past Friday night in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, WWE decided to play it safe, and we got a brand new Universal Champion, the first ever two-time Universal Champion in the form of the Beast, the brand new, undisputed, heavyweight Universal Champion of the world, Brock Lesnar. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We won't have a champion until WrestleMania. He will appear at Survivor Series to face off against AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. Then he will disappear and come back for a week or two on the road to WrestleMania, and we'll have a main event match at WrestleMania in New York for the Universal Championship. So that's how it currently stands with Monday Night Raw, and it just pains me to see how Raw had the opportunity to become so damn fresh, so damn new, something innovative, something that would put a lot of excitement into WWE fans, and they decided to go with Brock Lesnar. And in that match, Brock Lesnar defeated Braun Strowman, a man who many fans are very high upon. They are very interested in seeing Braun Strowman not only become champion, but be one of the top guys on the roster. And according to social media, according to a lot of you who watch the show, and critics and fans alike, a lot of you believe that Braun Strowman was buried at Crown Jewel by not having him defeat Lesnar. And what I always say is that in a business like sports entertainment, in the pro wrestling business, in WWE, anything is believable and anything can be fixed. I mean, for God's sakes, if you can have Rey Mysterio, a guy of that size, of that stature, yes, of extreme wrestling ability, but when he is facing guys much bigger and stronger than him, but you can have a guy like Rey Mysterio be the world champion, you really can have and make fans believe anything. So I really doubt Strowman has been buried. I think they just didn't think he was ready for him to be world champion. And apparently, because I didn't watch Crown Jewel, I couldn't find the time, it was really early in the morning. Apparently, Baron Corbin interfered in the match and attacked Strowman right before it. That's trying as a precaution to protect Strowman a little bit. But that just goes on to say that Baron Corbin is just a character that, as far as I know, I'm not very excited about what he does. And it was pretty weird seeing him last week open up Monday Night Raw with that Universal Championship on his shoulder. And I was saying, if you look at the guy and you haven't really seen his booking over the past few years, you could buy just on that image that he could be Universal Champion, but Corbin is just not where I think he should be in terms of talent. So what will happen between Corbin and Strowman? I don't know. Corbin is the acting general manager of Raw. Right now, his main worries should be building up Team Red or Team Monday Night Raw for Survivor Series. Otherwise, you're going to have Stephanie McMahon either bring back Kurt Angle as general manager of Raw or do something else to make Corbin give out results. So, that's pretty much on the Raw side of things. And I've got to say, that whole Crown Jewel event, everything happened at Crown Jewel, it really deflated my interest in WWE. And that's that. What can you do? You're just a fan. You don't have pretty much any control over what happens in WWE. They're the ones who are handling the business. So let's see where they go from here on out. In the meantime, yes, Team Raw is getting ready for Survivor Series, my main question is, will there be a Raw men's team versus a SmackDown men's team at Survivor Series, or will we have tag team champions versus tag team champions, or we could have both? Doesn't matter, but as of right now, we only have a few matches confirmed for Survivor Series. We'll have the women's brand versus brand tag team Survivor Series elimination match. We're going to have the champion versus champion match between Styles and Lesnar, and on the other side, Rollins versus Nakamura. So those matches are confirmed, but as far as the tag champs versus tag champs, that hasn't been confirmed, and it'll be interesting to see because Rollins and Ambrose are still champions. WWE.com still highlights that in the preview for tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Rollins and Ambrose are still champions, so it's going to be interesting to see if Corbin forces them to be on the same page for Survivor Series for the sake of Monday Night Raw, or, if they're not on the same page, you could have Corbin having them defend them tonight. And Ambrose, he's the heel. He runs on Ambrose time. He doesn't really care about Rollins' safety or friendship anymore. So we could have a setup of Rollins having to defend the tag team titles all on his own. And that could fix the whole tag champs versus tag champs conundrum that Corbin has himself locked in right now. But, we'll just have to wait and see what Corbin does tonight in the UK. And smaller tidbits, smaller notes for tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, and for the official preview of Monday Night Raw, what's next for the Riott Squad? The Riott Squad, who lost at Evolution to Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Natalya, and then lost the 10-woman tag team match last week on Monday Night Raw. So WWE is expecting, or at least insinuating, that the Riott Squad might want to make a move to change the scenery, to build up some momentum on their side of things. Hell, they could end up being, all three of them, being a part of the Raw Women's Tag Team against the SmackDown brand at Survivor Series. If you ask me, that would be a smart move, because even though they have lost those matches, they are still one of the strongest tandems in WWE today in terms of women's wrestling, and it would be wise to have them be a part of that Raw tag team at Survivor Series, maybe with Bayley, maybe with Sasha Banks, all for the sake of Monday Night Raw, of course. And finally, Tamina and Jax, they are previewing, they are trying to show us that something might be up with Tamina and Nia Jax. Tamina, of course, who returned about 2 or 3 weeks before Evolution, in those ridiculous 4-woman matches that meant absolutely nothing leading up to the pay-per-view. We had that spot of Tamina and Jax doing the Roman Reigns ooh-ah at Evolution, and that's when I thought, hey, maybe these women can be actually tag team partners. They would make a hell of a tag team. And they actually had a face-off last week on Monday Night Raw. So if you ask me, I don't think this is building up to a Tamina versus Nia Jax feud just yet. Maybe in the future, but right now there are rumors that WWE will introduce women's tag team championships very soon. And what a more aggressive and scary tag team in terms of women's wrestling would a Tamina and Nia Jax pairing be? You pair Tamina and Nia Jax up, you make a tournament, you put in that tournament Trish Stratus and Lita, you put Bayley and Sasha Banks, you put 2 members of the Riott Squad, you have already 4 tag teams fighting over those brand new women's tag team championships, which, me, I'm not a fan of having titles and bring back this title and let's have 10, 15 titles for the main roster. That to me just devaluates the gold, and I've always been a fan of have as few titles as possible, put the importance on those titles, and elevate them by doing that. But in the case of the women's division, you could make the case, as long as they're defended on both brands, because I don't think there's enough women on the roster right now to have 2 sets of women's tag team titles. So anyway, that's the preview for tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Make sure you tune in to the USA Network to check out everything that goes down on the flagship show of Monday Night of WWE, which to me has gone back to being one of the most boring shows, just like that, right after Crown Jewel, right after having Brock Lesnar win the title once again. You know, it's a shame. It's just depressing to have this man who doesn't show up, not because he doesn't want to, but because he charges too much per appearance, and WWE doesn't want to pay him to show up every week. So, you know, we'll just have to wait and see what goes on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions for tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. What do you think of Crown Jewel? Did you watch it? What do you think of Brock Lesnar still being the brand new Universal Champion once again? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions on the comments section below. If you follow wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff, consider subscribing. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. Till next time.